Hiya, and welcome back to Northern Lights. The game that teaches us that, hmm, it's probably a good idea to maybe not piss off spirits. To maybe not, I don't fucking know. I don't know, I can't think of anything. It's, I can't think of anything. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Oh, I can go ahead and delete that save. Leaning back into the seat, I watched the tree line blur into darkness, peaks of the sky above showcasting a dazzling sea of stars. You'll see. After taking a turn off the main road onto a narrow dirt path, Aldrich momentarily parked the truck, hurrying out to open a gate that had been closing off the trail. After pulling through and closing the gate behind us, we were right onto a bumpy trail. It wasn't too bad at first, mostly felt like driving over a washboard. The deeper we went, the rockier it got, and the slower he had to drive to navigate the tricky terrain. By the time we reached the end, it was completely dark. The area was barely cleared out, just enough for a ranger truck to turn around and head back. Come on, it's close. Though I was a little tired from our hike earlier, his enthusiasm kept me motivated. The shepherd grabbed a cooler from the bed of the truck as well as a lantern that he'd just lit. He led me into the woods. I think you'll like it. I fell in love with the park right here. Only just here, but everything I've seen is so beautiful. Exiting the thick tree line, I could just barely make out the silhouette of a towering structure not far ahead. Easily 3 stories high, the lamplight did little to illuminate our path as Aldrich led me up several flights of narrow wooden stairs. I stayed here 1 week while I was in middle school. They had a junior ranger program. Ranger Thompson was assigned to this tower, and I'd never heard anyone speak with such enthusiasm about the park before. As we reached the top, the lamplight shimmered off the windows of a small cabin, surrounded entirely by a narrow boarded catwalk. I made my way around to the far side. My jaw dropped. Oh, the Doberman? He's at work. I'd only really gotten glimpses from the town, the park's namesake, the outline of a singular though massive mountain, its peak looking as if it had been sliced open. The moonlight went through the sharp, jagged edges lining the 1,000-foot tear, and got scattered into faint rays that illuminated patches of the entire park. Aldrich stood beside me. He seemed to be watching my reaction, rather than staring out at the beauty of the night and the mountain. That was my reaction first night too. Split Peak, not really a clever name, but there's no other mountain like her. The shepherd set the lamp down on a tiny patio table, next to a metal folding chair before leaning up against the railing, finally admiring the view much as I was. It's like someone slid it open with a claw. See? That's what I tell everyone. The Rangers reckon it was some massive earthquake millions of years ago. Is that what you think? Sure, it makes the most sense, but you saw a piece of history of this place. Who's to say it's not just another moment of history lost to the unforgiving progress of time? I wrote a poem about it after my week here. Will you tell it to me? The shepherd's ears twitched, even flattening a little. He looked nervous in the face, but soon smiled. For you, anything. But first. Aldrich took a step back and leaned against the wall of the cabin, cupping his paws in front of him. Without hesitation, I stepped onto them, allowing them to boost me up onto the roof, and I took a seat on the edge, letting my legs hang down. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is adorable. This is adorable. Like, look at the little babies. Look at the babies. Look at them. Look at them just sitting there being all cute, being little babies. He passed up the cooler and was quick to join me, sitting close as we watched the shimmering moonlight. Beneath the full moon's mystic light, Split Peak stands in grand display. Between the cragged walls, cryptic lore awaits. A portal to the night between the split, where shadows dance in pale moonlight. In moonlight's divinity, the mountain sings of ancient tales and hidden things. Split Peak's enchanting mystery is my dream, a place where secrets bloom. And in its hollowed depths, I find my soul's true home. Hallowed depths. Aldrich looked away nervously, rubbing the back of his head a bit. That's really beautiful, Aldrich. You think so? English teacher gave me a C for it. The shepherd chuckled awkwardly, opening the cooler to grab a couple cans of soda for us. If I was your teacher, I'd give you an A. Thanks, Cody. Taking a sip of the frosty soda while happily staring off at the mountain was a rather refreshing break after our adventurous day. What do you think caused it? Do you want the movie reason or personal opinion? Personal. Tell me what you see, not what you want an audience to see. Looking up and down the length of the split, I watched the sky slowly growing darker as thick clouds moved in with a cool breeze. It's a witness mark. What's that? Say you were working on an engine, doesn't matter what kind, but you wanted to easily remember how far something is supposed to turn, where it should come to a stop. Make a little scratch in the metal so you can easily remember. That's a witness mark, a little note left by someone that reminds them of how something is supposed to go. The split in the mountain is a witness mark, on a cosmic scale. The right spot for a piece in some complex machination that we can't even fathom the meaning of to be. That's a cool way of looking at it. I swung my legs on the ceiling, staring at the sky, appreciating the sight once more before turning to Aldrich. I'm really grateful for you taking me to Silver Falls. That cave was something else. Oh yeah? It's one of my favorite places here. Maybe you can convince Dev to check it out sometime. He's always been nervous about walking that ledge to get in. I'll sweet talk him. Maybe he could be in the film I'm making with the cave as its feature location. You've already cooked something up? Think so. The name Bjorn comes to mind, a Celtic warrior on the run. You can be in it too if you like. I can give it a shot, at least from how you acted out that scene. I bet you're the kind of director who can make even amateurs into professionals in no time flat. I want it to be something different though. I love horror movies, but if I'm going to embrace this fresh start, reckon I should branch out with the direction I take my stories. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. A sudden roar of thunder pierced through the night, Aldrich glancing up at the now starless sky. Damn, really thought that storm was supposed to start later. Cody, we gotta stay the night here, alright? He spoke with a confident tone, filling out the role of a park ranger he longed to be. I don't think we'll have enough time to get back on the main road before the rain. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to take the trail during a storm, really prone to flash floods. Let's list out the pros and cons. Pros. Big buff man. Cons. Might get murdered. Pros. Lots of privacy. Cons. Might get murdered. I don't see any problem with it. Having to spend the night in the forest unplanned wasn't something I was thrilled about. Though Aldrich's clear knowledge about the potential dangers of the landscape was a small comfort. Okay, I guess. Where are we gonna sleep? I'm pretty sure this is the 80s. Doesn't this game take place in the 80s? Which means I don't think they'd have had 1985. I'm pretty sure internet wasn't mainstream until late 90s, early 2000s. Which means that, yeah, we wouldn't have had internet anyways. So, we're good. The only downside is we might get murdered. That's it. But that's a risk that I'm willing to take. Okay, I guess where we're gonna sleep. Where do you think, silly? Aldrich patted the roof of the watchtower and I glanced down at it. I'd figured we would just sleep in his truck for the night. Alright. Only politeness kept me from asking if it'd be okay for me to just sleep in the truck. I figured there'd be some small cot inside the tower. 2 people sharing it wouldn't be a tight fit. The shepherd hopped back down to the catwalk and I passed the cooler down to him, dropping down alongside him afterwards. Just get comfy. I'll go grab a couple things from the truck. Go get some wood. It was surprisingly homey inside the tower. Like a quaint one-room cabin at a campground, there was a small bed with an actual mattress, sheets, and a blanket neatly folded alongside 2 pillows at the foot. There was a simple wood stove, a compact old kitchen stove, probably hooked up to propane outside, a large table in the middle holding a map of the forest, and several pairs of binoculars sitting on a shelf under it. Aldrich walked back in soon after, carrying a small bundle of wood under one arm, and his hiking bag strapped to his back, along with a gallon jug of water. Set everything down in one corner, looking over to me standing stiff and awkward near the bed. Every minute I stood there was another reminder that I was going to share a bed with him. Worrying about what my pa would do if he found out, about what I would do if I couldn't keep my feelings in check. Aldrich knew I was gay, but the thought of him ending our friendship if I looked at him in that light was nerve-wracking. Still unsure if he or anyone would ever really want a gay otter for a friend, one that couldn't go 30 seconds without eyeing him like a piece of meat. You alright? Well, yeah, right as rain. I watched as Aldrich took a few logs and stacked them carefully in the wood stove, stuffing it stuffing it with some kindling to get a fire going and warming the cabin up to fight off the increasingly colder night. The rain was picking up fast, a gentle roar outside the cabin steadily growing louder, further isolating us in the space. Are you hungry? Yeah, actually, didn't know hiking could take so much out of me. The shepherd fished around in the cooler while I remained frozen in the spot. Afraid to bring anything up now that we were, in fact, going to bunk down for the night. How about chili dogs? You packed that much just to go hiking. No, turkey dogs were on sale at the store, and I didn't want to go back out after we got back to town. Well, yeah, I'd love one. Shepard smiled at me. As handsome as the canine was, something about the firelight always brought his looks to a whole nother level. He set a small pan and a pot on top of the gas stove, grabbing a can of chili from his hiking pack, and dumping the contents into the pot. Keep an eye on that if you don't mind. Need to radio the base and let them know we're hunkering down for the night. Stiffly, I walked over to the stove, grabbing a spoon to stir the pre-made chili, watching as the shepherd flipped on the radio. Tower 13 to base, are you reading me? Over. 10-4 Tower, wait, who is this and why are you in 13? Over. It's Aldrich. Store came in sooner than expected. Unsafe to take the trail back until morning. Just hunkering down for the night. Everything will be back in order. Over. Alright, Aldrich, you got anyone with you? Over. Yeah, Cody. Friend of mine just moved to town. Over. Acknowledge and log to stay safe. There's supposed to be some fierce gusts tonight through to the early AM hours. Over and out. Watching him talk on the radio like he'd been doing it for years already was strangely appealing. How he took on the role with such confidence. Even with Liam and Tobin cheering me on, I'd yet to feel that steady on my paws with my movie making. Oftentimes, I wonder if it is just a hobby for me rather than a true career goal. Man, you weren't kidding. You really are a ranger already. Shepard smiled again, cutting open the package of turkey dogs, laying a few of them on the empty hot pan. All the rangers are really nice. How, honestly, they'll take all the help they can get. I know hiring is down and volunteers plummet after summer is over. They're probably glad to be able to more or less train me without having to pay me for it yet. Free labor is hard to beat. I tilted my head as I mulled over what I just said, although my attention was increasingly drawn to the scents coming from the stove. You alright with them not paying you? The way I see it, I've got a job waiting for me at a park I love, full of future coworkers I'm already familiar with. Sure, I don't get paid yet, but the money isn't why I want to work here. It's the lifestyle, the people, all the visitors, the nature, and the freedom. The shepherd chuckled a little, stirring the pot of chili as it warmed on the stove. He was looking over to the maps on the table in the middle of the room, a blissful smile on his face standing a few inches taller. When you put it like that, I reckon it's nice knowing it's here waiting for you. As Aldrich kept cooking dinner for us, I glanced over to the unmade bed again. It really wasn't meant for two people, but would work with the squeeze. Slowly working up the courage to ask a stupid question. I was wondering, where would I sleep? What do you mean? The bed is right there. We can share it, no problem. My whiskers hung heavy, glancing at the floor, my gut twisting as I heard a faint voice in my head. I'm not supposed to share a bed, especially with another guy. What? Why? My pa said if you ever caught me sharing a bed with a guy again, even my friends, he'd beat me bloody next time. Aldrich tensed up, that look of anger returning to his face, not at me, but at my father, and the way he'd raised me. Your dad isn't here, Cody. We're in the middle of the woods, thousands of miles away. You don't need to be scared of him. I know, but what if he finds out? Oh, Cody. Oh, Cody. I've been in a similar situation, Cody. I've been in a similar situation. It is not fun. It is not fun. It's very anxiety-inducing. Aldrich set a spatula down, walked over, and wrapped his arms around me, pulling me into a firm hug, his heartbeat strong in my ears. Listen, Cody, even if your dad ever cared enough to come up here, whether to apologize or to try to punish you, I won't let you be alone in that moment, and I'm certainly not going to let that nutcase lay another finger on you. I'll knock his ass to the ground before he even has the chance. Hang on, I'll be right back. And I'm back. But no. No. Personal experience, it's not fucking fun having to hide who you are. I've done it for years. Hell, I even had a couple moments like that in 2023. It's not fun. I'll knock his ass to the ground before he even has the chance. His fingers traced gentle circles over my back as he kept me close. The soft touch and firm protective words, leading to a few tears rolling down my maw. No, no, because it helped me. It helped me realize just don't associate with hurtful people. It helped me realize that. Anyways, just hearts out for the otter. Hearts out for Cody. Just hang on, turning on the webcam because I want to do this. I mean, just a fucking laptop screen. Just hearts out for Cody. Just hearts out for the otter boy. Hearts out for Cody. Hearts out for him. Hug the auto. His fingers traced gentle circles over my back as he kept me close. The soft touch and firm protective words leading to a few tears rolling down my maw. Tobin and Liam always had my back growing up, but none of us had the strength to stop the punishments. Aldrich and I had only just rekindled our friendship, and it already sounded as if he was more than willing to go to jail if it meant saving me from my father. The only thing you have to worry about here is getting good grades in college. Everything else, we'll tackle it together, alright? What do I think about what? Yes! That is actually an amazing idea. That is an amazing idea. I nodded gently, my head nudging up and down his chest, not wanting to speak as I feared he would hear my voice crack. Come on, let's get some food in our bellies. Aldrich stepped away and I hurried to dry my tears. I was still nervous about sharing a bed with him, but at least I felt safe. Reminded once more that he wasn't going to let anything bad happen to me. After he plated up the chili dogs for us, Aldrich leaned back against a wall, and I took a seat in the only chair. My tail softly thumping as I happily enjoyed the warm, quick meal. I hope it's alright. I'm not much of a cook. It's wonderful. What matters most is the spirit put in the dish. I'm not sure how much spirit helps you turn a whole chicken into a piece of charcoal. The shepherd chuckled softly, soon wiping his fingers clean, setting the empty plate on the counter. I'm gonna go take a leak. Can you make the bed up for us? I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I nodded, and the shepherd wandered out of the cabin, keeping under the roof of the tower. My paws trembled as I fussed with the sheets, taking me 3 tries to actually get all the corners tucked, soon spreading out the blanket and the pillows. I'm gonna pull up the censor. Sileo Tales of a New Dawn. The fucking pizza box. It's not that I don't trust the developers. It's out of fear. I've been flashed before. The door of the tower creaked as Aldrich walked back in. As soon as I turned to face him, my maw dropped. Oh, we're safe. We're safe. The pizza box PTSD. Right? We're good. We're good. We're good, but awooga. With the shirt off, the shepherd looked like an Adonis, his firm, gut-toned chest and a fur that looked softer than silk. Needless to say, I had a hard time looking away. Aldrich didn't seem to notice my stare as he went and popped a few more pieces of wood into the stove to last us the night, biting my tongue a bit before I popped wood as well. I want to take my shirt off. I should. It's just a shirt. What's the big deal if I do? I kept thinking to myself, yet every fiber of my upbringing was yelling at me to keep it on. The storm should clear up before sunrise. We should get some sleep if you want to make it to work on time tomorrow. Aldrich cocked a brow at the side of me holding the bottom of my shirt, frozen stiffer than a statue, unable to actually move my hands upwards. You can keep it on if that would make you feel more comfortable. No, it's okay. It's just a shirt. I'm being dumb. You're not being dumb. It's not your fault how you were raised, but it's your life now. Shepherd turned. Okay. Okay. Thank you. The shepherd turned to look me straight in the eyes, an encouraging, heartfelt, and strangely longing expression on his face. You make the calls. Hesitantly, I pulled my shirt off, dragging it out for an excruciating amount of time, as with each passing inch I had to resist a renewed urge to immediately tug it back down. Aldrich let out a noticeable huff as I finally tossed my shirt off, his tail wagging rapidly back and forth, crossing my arms over my chest, too nervous to make eye contact. You go first. Aldrich took one last sip of his soda before crawling into bed, leaving the blanket pulled back for me to get in. He was facing me with a smile, trying to be as inviting as possible. Every nervous step I made towards the bed was a little faster than the last, my desire to be pressed against him slowly outweighing the fear of repercussions. The springs in the mattress squeaked as I climbed in. I pressed my back firmly to the canine, long tail draped over the shepherd's hip. There wasn't an inch to spare. If either of us moved to make more room, we'd fall to the floor. And Aldrich soon pulled the blanket over us and nuzzled into his pillow. Good night, Cody. Sweet dreams. As I lay there, staring across the room in the glow of the wood stove fire, I found it hard to sleep, my mind filled with thoughts of the shepherd. Hugging was one thing, but now pressed so closely together, I couldn't pay attention to anything else. Even though he was still in his pants, the firmness of his under my tail was impossible to ignore. I bit my lip in an attempt to distract myself. I was picturing what I shouldn't be allowed to picture. The thought of his paws exploring my body, the way we'd make excited whimpers, his sniffs as we got more familiar with each other. Trembling next to him, I kept wondering what would happen if I rolled over to face the shepherd. By closing my eyes and fantasizing, I was burying my face into his bare chest. My whiskers twitched, taking in a deep breath, imagining his scent filling me completely, leaving me shaking like a leaf as he dragged his claws softly down the length of my back. Smiling, blushing at the thought of him whispering sweet nothings into my ear, how he'd let out a hearty huff as he slipped his paw into my band. I can't deny how deeply I was attracted to his looks, his personality, but I didn't want to make things weird between us. Oh, god damn it. I was even terrified of how he would react if he found out the way I kept thinking about him, stealing glances when he wasn't looking. I'd known almost as soon as I hit puberty that my eyes were drawn to men.
It's time to drink water.
No matter how much I tried to convince myself otherwise, they always wandered back to any guy in a room with me. Never Tobin and Liam, though. I didn't see them that way. But most other guys I ran across made my body shiver. Why am I so scared? Still fighting myself. I don't want to be scared anymore. I just want to be me. After what felt like an eternity, the sound of sheets of rain against the glass and the crackling of a fire managed to lull me to sleep. The power of pecs and... oh no. Groggily, I opened my eyes. The sound of the storm winds had really picked up, occasionally rattling the windows of the tower. The cabin was rather cold now, barely any glow from the nearby extinguished wood stove. Crawling out of bed, I wandered over and grabbed a few pieces of wood, dropping them onto the last barely burning piece of timber. Glancing out into the dark tree line, I noticed the rain had all but stopped, just a small drizzle now. Still enough clouds in the sky to blot out the stars and the moon. Then there was a lull in the winds, and my ears twitched, a ghostly whistle filling the void. Cautiously, I stepped outside onto the walkway, trying to pinpoint where the sound was coming from. The night was frigid, any summer warmth from the day prior completely taken away by the storm front. Just as I thought about heading back to bed, I noticed a faint lamplight against the woods. The whistling grew louder, a faint tune, one that seemed familiar and beloved by its player. Transfixed, I slowly made my way down the stairs, setting my bare paw on the soaked forest floor. Mindlessly heading towards the lamplight in the tree line, the whistling tune grew clearer, and I even found myself starting to hum along. Each new verse I joined halfway through, as if only half remembering the lyrics of a familiar song. Standing just at the edge of the tree line, I looked at the glow of the lamp, which seemed just as far here as it did from atop the tower. Is someone out there? The moment I asked, the lamplight went out, leaving me in the forest in darkness once again. Even though the whistling was gone, what returned in its place was a growing realization that I was only half dressed, wet from rain, and turned into a popsicle. Hurriedly yet carefully, I climbed back up the tower, taking a moment to shake off extra water, wipe my feet, and finally crawl back into bed. Sleep came faster this time, and I drifted off without even a second thought of the lamplight or the strange tune. Come morning, I was the first awake, eyes open to find that Aldrich had an arm wrapped over me, his muzzle pressed into the scruff of my neck.
Anyways, devs, this upcoming CG, all I have to say is you guys are amazing and please keep up the good work.
This is adorable. This is adorable. With how slow his breaths were, I knew for sure he was still asleep. Having that strong grip around me felt safe, in a different way from how his hugs felt. As more of the night's sleep wore off, I realized there was a dampness in my crotch. And I was instantly wide awake, panicked breaths as the situation became increasingly clear. I moved a paw down, drawing back the blanket a little bit to check the front of my pants. Sharing a bed with the shepherd had clearly given me my in over a year, and I couldn't even remember what it had been about. Though I didn't want Aldrich to know I had, the mere thought of it was mortifying. Slowly, Oh, I just noticed that. His expressions. Aldrich's expression changed. Slowly, I moved an arm and grasped at his paw as I tried to lift it so I could pull free. Oh, hiya. Welcome. As I tried to lift it so I could pull free, his grip grew stronger, holding me more firmly against him, his fingers spreading to have a wider grasp over my chest. This isn't happening, this isn't happening, please, no! Oh my god, thank you for the follow! Oh, yeah, thank you for the follow.
He has the hotties for the baby doggo.
Holding my breath, I carefully took hold of his wrist again, lifting
Cold and
more
severe case of
firmly
morning wood.
than my first attempt. It seemed to be working. Wiggling my way free a bit by bit, slowly replacing where I'd been laying with the pillow I had been using that night. When I finally managed to slip free, Aldrich rolled over, still clutching my pillow, burying his face into it. Aww. There was a clear dark spot around the crotch of my pants, even though most of the fabric seemed slightly damp. Still, I had to do something to hide it before he woke up. Frantically looking around the cabin, I grabbed a roll of paper towels and ripped off a few sheets. Furiously rubbing them into the fabric, trying to get the darkest spot. Though it had little impact. Just stand outside, the sun will dry it. Pulling on my shirt, just as I opened the door, Aldrich shifted a little in the bed, but soon settled back down, still cuddling my pillow. Finally standing in enough direct sunlight, I stretched the fabric out as much as I could, praying that the spot would show some mercy and disappear already. As I took in the beauty of a forest walking for the day, I caught sight of muddy paw prints on the catwalk. Looking down to see my paws still a little dirty. Did I go outside last night? Aldrich was up soon after I was, joining me on the walkway, stretching his arms up to the sky, letting out a rather loud yawn. Fixating my eyes on the fact his nose was twitching, I grew nervous, wondering if he could smell the evidence of the... Morning, Cody. Did you sleep all right? Morning, yeah, it was kind of nice, actually. It's even quieter here than the town, or it was at least. That's one of the perks of living on my camper, right on the edge of the forest. Getting to enjoy nights and mornings just like this one. There was no denying the beauty of the sounds of nature, like the plethora of beautiful bird song, or the crisp morning wind blowing through the trees. Try not to default to the uwu voice, completely untainted by the chaotic noise of modern society. Someone put a cup of coffee on my paw. A place to sit in this forest, they'd have a very happy shepherd. Maybe I should keep that in mind. The shepherd braced his paws on the railing, leaning over some to look down at the ground, while my eyes wandered down his backside, admiring the way his tail had lifted a bit. Stop it, you're gonna make stuff weird. So, you think it's safe to drive back to town? Should be. My truck can get through anything. Just better to have as much light as possible when the conditions get sketchy. Let me just reset the tower and we can head out. While Aldrich dealt with the more official duties, I set about unmaking the bed back to the way it was, packing out our trash from the night, and carrying things back down to the truck, grateful that my pants had dried enough for him not to notice. Soon enough, we were back on the trail, and it had been the right call staying the night. A small chunk of the trail had washed out, and it took careful maneuvering to get by. Seeing the forest in the dawnlight with a shimmering coat of rainfall gave an entirely new beauty to it, transforming it in a way that made it feel like yet another entirely separate world. So, what do you think about the park? It's gorgeous, more than I could have even imagined. So much history to it, so many stories I could come up with about it. Well, anytime you want to head back in, just let me know. Plenty of secrets here for you to see. Aldrich stopped briefly at the entrance booth, letting the ranger know about the washed-out trail before setting back to town. By the time we'd gotten back to Video Den, just over an hour had passed. It was hard to believe just how little time separated the town from the wilds. I'll be pretty busy most of this coming week. Think we'll both will be with school starting. Yeah, and I gotta settle into work. Vincent wants me to open the store myself later this week. At least there is no summer camp bus this time. I'm really glad you're here to stay. With his ears perked, that confident smile, and the heavy thumping of his tail on the bench seat, my heart warmed. Though my love for New Orleans would never lessen, I couldn't deny how quickly I was coming to enjoy Aspen Hollow, and how swiftly fleeting any desire to leave had become. When Aldrich brought the truck to a stop outside Vinny Den, he grabbed a pencil and scribbled 2 numbers on a napkin. That one is a campground, the other is a store. Call me anytime you want, okay? I will, so long as it's no bother. For you, Cody, nothing is a bother. Climbing out of his truck, I grabbed my purchases from college, fishing around in the bag for my keyring. Aldrich glanced over at me with a smile. Hey, ask Vinny if you can have Thursday night off, alright? What for? Misty and her band have a gig in Cedar Valley. Figured we could go. What do you say? Yeah, I'd love to meet her finally and hear her band live. Alright then, just drop me a message if you get the night off and I'll pick you up on 5 on Thursday. See you later, Otter. Bye, Aldrich. Thank you again for the trip. Aldrich drove off and I disappeared into my apartment. Still had an hour before my shift. Time enough to catch a shower. Do I need to censor it all? It's for anyone who would know. Who knows? Do I need to censor? Okay, thank you. Thank you. I was quick to set down all my school purchases and stick a copy of my class schedule to the fridge with a magnet, soon slipping into the shower. With a heavy sigh, I let my head rest against the cold subway tile walls as the warm water ran down my back, eyes fixating on the swirling vortex going down the drain. Trying my best to let the water wash away the worries starting to swarm my head now that I had nobody to hide them from. What the heck is wrong with me? Just say it. I'm gay. The words mere whispers, barely even audible to myself over the sound of the running water, still looking at the ground like a defeated pup. I'm gay. I spoke louder than the first time, lifting my head slightly. A hearty sigh escaping my maw as I continued to bolster myself into admitting the truth. He's not my pa anymore. I'm gay. I'm gay and Paws clenched into fists, I hunched over my resting head against the tile, fresh tears rolling down my muzzle. I couldn't get the last word out. Calling myself that felt like a leap of faith and I'd fail at. The mere thought of the word made my back burn, just like my pa's belt. I'm gay. That's all that matters. Rest of it, well, I'll figure it out as I go. He's not here, I am, and I'm not going to hide anymore. A wave of strangely sorrow-filled joy washed over me, my legs shaking so much that I ended up sitting in the bottom of the tub, sobbing into my paws. Just thought of finally letting myself truly living free at long last unleashed so many emotions at once I hardly knew what to do with myself. Wasn't sure how long it had taken for the crying to stop, but eventually I stood up, dried off, and got dressed for work, feeling a hint of relief, ready to just be me. No more hiding. Good morning, pup. Morning, Vinny. It's a new promo today, right? Indeed it is. Running a new membership campaign for all the students coming into town. Free snack pack with sign up and first rental. Nodding, I grabbed the box of pastels and headed outside to whip up a little design on the chalkboard to lure people in. As I sketched out the promotion, I began to whistle a gentle tune, some earworm that lingered in the back of my head. My ears raising to the sound of the bell on the door, Vincent stepped out to see what I'd worked out. Board read, AHU Student Special, along with a stylized drawing of a few students gathered in a dorm room enjoying a few snacks. Free snack pack with first rental written out in a fun mixed font below the drawing. Vincent's ears were perked, glancing at me with the same curious look I so frequently caught on his face, seemingly looking beyond just the otter standing in front of him. That's a nice little tune. Come up with it yourself? Not sure. Probably heard it on the radio somewhere. Got stuck in my head. It's rather pleasing. A little tune to pass the hours while working alone. I don't know, kinda sounds longing to me. Like they're waiting for someone to come home. Oh, release a lot of people picked up the snacks. What? How do you mean, pup? Whistling out the tune once more, a little louder than before, head gently bobbing as I mused over its intent. The note's a strangely haunting melody, perhaps a lover waiting for their mate to return home from a war. Maybe a mother mourning the absence of their child gone away. Whatever it was, felt like a pained longing to be reunited and a wanting sense of hope. Can't really say just how it feels to me. Vincent's gaze narrowed for a moment. Perhaps, before letting out a deep sigh, Hardy chuckled, gently patting me on the shoulder. Well, it's nice. If you figure out the name of the song, be a good pup and let old Vinny know. The pair of us headed back inside to end up tending to a fairly quiet shift that morning. When lunchtime came around, Vincent disappeared into the back rooms for a bit. Helping a few customers on my own was really becoming second nature to me. I was already getting better at figuring out which customers wanted to chat casually about films and which just wanted to get back on their way. The wolf soon returned, setting down 2 bowls of rather refreshing-looking salad, each accompanied by a rather plump pickle. Man, these look good. Where'd you fetch them from? From my greenhouse. Thought you might enjoy a nice fresh selection. Taking a bite of the pickle, I was met with an intense spicy garlic kick, eyes going wide from the flavor and satisfying crunch. Vincent gave a knowing chuckle to my reaction. Made those as well. Figured someone from New Orleans would appreciate the heat. I'll have to return the favor sometime. Proper Cajun meal for you, sir. Though I might have to get a ride to the city to find some okra. No need, pup. How'd you like a little plot of my greenhouse? Spend a little quality time together, and I'm sure growing your own veg would help your wallet during college. You serious, Vinny? I'd love that. As excited as I was over having a place to garden again, would have been an understatement to say how badly I wanted to learn more about Vincent. Our conversations during work were mostly about movies, my art, and filmmaking interests, so I wasn't going to pass up a chance to get to know a little bit more about Vincent off the clock. Sounds like you've gardened before. We had a back garden in New Orleans, mostly just flowers and hedges. Sure, my pa made me take care of it, but it was my little escape from him. Long as I was out there working, I didn't have to think about him. Vincent gave a nod, listening with clear intent while he finished off his salad. So, nothing edible. Fruits, veg, herbs even? Of course we had some herbs, nothing else that you could eat, though. When's your first class? I set down the bowl and pulled out another copy of my class schedule, offering over to Vinny. Tomorrow afternoon and all day Tuesday. I've got you opening on Wednesday and working Thursday. I'll tell you what. Why don't you make me a little list of plants you want to grow, and I'll see about picking up some seeds and sprouts if I can find them. Then Friday morning, bright and early, I'll give you a lift over to my house and we can get started on your garden. That sounds just swell. Oh, I almost forgot to ask, would it be okay for me to leave at 4 on Thursday? Aldrich wants to take me to see Misty's band in the city. Yeah, that's fine, Bob. Sounds like a plan. I'm excited to garden again. By the time we finished off lunch, customers were starting to show up more frequently. Word was definitely starting to spread about the new promotion. I was hardly left with enough time to even focus on how excited I was to spend more time with Aldrich, and a chance to get to know more of who Vincent was. Wolf was still such a mystery to me, what his life was like outside the shop, what drove him. Maybe I'd even work up the confidence to ask why I kept catching him staring at me so much. Whoa. Save. Save. Gotta save. Ah! I'm so sad. There is a huge smile on my face right now. I just got a huge smile on my face. Anyways, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.